Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the show I'm going to be talking about two movies that I have purchased as of recently, and I really want to review these because I reviewed the original one on the channel a ways back, and I think it was time to really review the rest of the series since I kind of left you guys hanging with the first Matrix film in 4K that was absolutely fantastic. And I was really impressed with the transfer of that one, the audio and everything. So today, if you can't guess, I'm here to review the two other films in the series, The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. Now, these two movies, again, I remember when these came out and the massive success of these films, and even though these two, in my opinion, are definitely not as good as the original, I think they're still fantastic films, and this now, you know, having the whole series in 4K, I really wanted to talk about the picture quality of both of these films and the new Dolby Atmos track that accompanies both films, because this is a series that really benefits from the 4K format, and I think overall as a whole makes this movie series so much better, and it really does a phenomenal job of making this movie much more immersive, beautiful to look at, although there are some caveats. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes, but today I'm going to be talking about Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions. Now, normally I review one movie each, unless it's something along the lines of, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, I reviewed Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, and really I reviewed those because the picture and audio quality on those were pretty much on par, and I'm glad to say it's the same with these two films. Overall, I want to talk about the picture quality of both right now, and the picture quality of both Reloaded and Revolutions. They are just absolutely stunning looking. Now, these two movies, again, have undergone, I should say, a total revamp. And they were actually done by the directors and the original director of photography. They rescanned the movie in 4K, and now we have these new remastered versions of the films. And I have to say, standing up to the older Blu-rays, these movies look completely different now. And much like the original Matrix, when it was on DVD and on Blu-ray, it was, you know, not bad looking. I don't want to say they were bad looking films. They've always looked pretty good. But now that they've redone the picture on these, I have to say, the movies look absolutely stunning. Better than ever. And they really did a great thing in these movies where they have actually enhanced the hue of the films, whether the movie is taking place in the real world or in the Matrix. Now, the original DVDs, you could kind of tell what they were going for, but not really. The Blu-rays kind of had the same kind of hue all throughout the film. These new 4Ks now have a very distinctive color palette depending on when and where the movie is taking place. So, for instance, throughout the films now, especially in the second and third films, I should say, the first film they kind of have to keep it a secret because you don't really know what's reality and what's not until Morpheus has that very big scene kind of midway through the movie. In this, right from the get-go, you can tell what's what, and it's kind of stunning. And that happens all throughout these films now. And anytime they're in the Matrix, the whole ambiance of the scene is very much green. There's, again, colors in this because of the new Dolby Vision on these discs. I did watch these with Dolby Vision. They do come with Dolby Vision and HDR10 for both films. The Dolby Vision really accentuates all those colors, so that green hue is very noticeable now. And I love the look of that. The other thing I want to mention too is the overall look of the film is much cleaner, much sharper. Detail level is at an all-time high. There are shots in the second and third film of clothing that the characters wear. Morpheus in particular has this jacket in both films that's kind of like an alligator type thing. You can see the individual scales like on the jacket. They are really, really detailed and beautiful now. The real world has this grayish blue hue to it, and that's much more noticeable now too. And I think really overall, these movies look better than they ever have. And Warner Brothers and the guys that did these transfers really should be proud of themselves, because they made these movies better. And it's crazy to say that, but, again, I'm not a big fan of Matrix Revolutions. I'll be the first one to say that is definitely not a great movie. But I'll tell you, with this new transfer, the movie is much more entertaining now. It's very much easier on the eyes. It's a beautiful looking film. Near the end of the film, where they go to the central hub of the Matrix where that big talking face thing is, I don't know what that's about. It's so incredible to look at. All the little details of all the little sentinels and stuff in the face. It's really incredible to look at, and all the colors throughout both films are much more accentuated now due to that Dolby Vision HDR. They really did a great job with that. As for the sound mixes are another home run here. The overheads, the Dolby Atmos tracks overall are just really in your face. Sound effects are all over the place. The overheads are used very, very well, especially in the scenes where the Sentinels are kind of like flying behind them and over the ships. It's really wild to hear that. Action scenes, again, greatly benefit from this because the action is much more in your face. Again, sound effects are used really well. They're placed perfectly. Dialogue in both films are ultra clear. I mean, it's really a knockout. And I'm talking about both movies now. They really are fantastic 4K discs. One little caveat, though, I have with this now is and it's a problem these movies have had kind of since they came out, but now it's much more noticeable than it ever was before, especially watching it in 4K now. Some of the special effects are very, very dated now. And even though these movies are just barely 20 years old, these movies have some special effects that really do not hold up. Some of the scenes where Neo is flying, some of the close-ups on these CGI characters. My favorite scene in the second film, that fight where Neo is fighting like all the copies of Agent Smith. That scene is really wild. I love it still to this day. It's a great scene. The problem is when it goes to those CGI characters, they look like they're made of rubber. And it's very noticeable now when they do that. It's just, you can tell when they change that character from a live human being to not. It's so much more noticeable now, and it's something you got to kind of prepare yourself with. And that goes for both films, okay? That's both films. Again, there are moments like that where you just got to kind of suspend disbelief and say, all right, cool, it's CGI, we got it. But, I mean, overall, they are really phenomenal discs. One little problem I have, and it's not with the movies, the look of the movies, the sound of the movies, or anything, is this is the menu for The Matrix Reloaded here. I thought it was a nice little backdrop, but big problem with these discs, and again, Warner Brothers has seemed to be doing a little better with it these days, but when these discs came out, and the first Matrix film as well, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I don't know why, that Dolby Atmos track is not the default audio track for any of these films. You have to go into the audio menu, you have to go into audio, which is right here if you can see it. You have to go into audio and you have to pick Dolby Atmos before you play the movie or in the menu while you're playing the movie in order to get that track. Again, I understand a lot of people have that 5.1 setup, but if you're buying these discs, chances are you have a Dolby Atmos setup of some kind. even if it's a sound bar. Why that is not the default track on these movies is beyond me. I'll never understand that, but Warner Brothers has kind of fixed this as of recently, so I can't complain too much, but just a little nitpick and a little heads up for you guys if you are going to buy these. Definitely, make sure you switch it to that Dolby Atmos if you want to get that full experience. If not, you'll be watching it in Dolby 5.1, which again is still not a bad sound mix, but the Dolby Atmos track is where it is. That's where it's at. So anyway, thank you again for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Highly recommend you pick these up. The nice thing about buying these movies separately, ironically enough, I'm usually all for buying the sets. But for these here, the nice thing is it comes with the 4K disc and 2 standard Blu-rays and a digital copy, which is really nice. And the digital copy does have that Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos when you watch it on iTunes, which I think is fantastic. But the new Blu-rays are actually packed in with this, so you get the upgraded picture and stuff with the standard Blu-rays. Again, are they as good as the 4Ks? No, but they are nice to have considering they really pretty much upped everything with this, and the special features discs are in there as well, which is, again, a nice thing to have to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff. So, very much highly recommended. I really want you to, think about these. If you're going to buy some action movies on 4K, these are really stupendous. This and the original one, all three of them are an absolute joy to watch now in 4K. If you want to pick these up, I'm going to put a little link in the description below, and if you buy these movies through that link, I get a little kickback, and I highly appreciate it because it supports the channel here. And if you enjoyed these videos, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, take it easy.